What happens when a UFO fanatic and a ghost believer team up? Chaos, comedy, and a lot of supernatural craziness. In this video, we're diving into the wild start of Dandadan. This is part 2 of the series, covering episodes 4 to 6. Make sure to check out part 1 first. The link is in the description. Let's get started. Episode 4 of Dandadan begins with Momo and Okarun entering Turbo Granny's tunnel. Okarun reminds Momo that they must lure Turbo Granny outside Shono City to separate her from the location-bound spirit. Momo spots a giant version of Turbo Granny blocking one of the tunnels. Okarun screams, and Momo turns around. Momo spots another Turbo Granny blocking that pathway. The Turbo Granny variants get closer to our heroes. Okarun transforms into his depressed Turbo Granny form. However, Okarun changes back. Turbo Granny tells Okarun he reverted to his human state because she gave Okarun his banana back. Before Turbo Granny devours Momo and Okarun, Momo taunts Turbo Granny and challenges her to a running match. Turbo Granny reverts to her normal form and accepts Momo's challenge. Momo tells Turbo Granny they'll play tag. If Turbo Granny can catch Momo and Okarun, she'll win the game. Momo asks Turbo Granny to count to 10. Meanwhile, Momo and Okarun run away. Turbo Granny sends an army of undead hands after the two. Her hand army captures Momo. Okarun begs Turbo Granny to release Momo. Turbo Granny stops counting and tries to capture Okarun next. Okarun leaps toward Turbo Granny and bites one of her breasts. Since Okarun won't let go, and because he's wearing a specific garment, Turbo Granny possesses him. Once possessed, Turbo Granny removes Okarun's attire. Momo uses her psychic powers to torture Turbo Granny. Turbo Granny tries retaliating, but Momo squeezes her aura enough to allow Okarun to regain control of his body. Turbo Granny transforms into a small snake-like creature. The location-bound spirit appears. It's taking the form of a giant crab. Turbo Granny asks the spirit to stop Momo and Okarun. Momo and Okarun run across a highway. The spirit chases them. Okarun transforms into his depressed Turbo Granny form, and Momo hops on his back. Okarun runs while Momo grabs hold of Turbo Granny. Okarun hops off the highway. He and Momo land in the city. They continue fleeing from the spirit. Momo and Okarun lead the spirit to a hot spring to weaken it. After Momo boils the spirit, she and Okarun depart. Some time passes. They're almost out of Shono City. Momo and Okarun notice a few zombie people nearby. The zombies chase them, so Momo and Okarun turn around and flee. Turbo Granny tells them she asked the spirits at Shono City's cemetery for help. Turbo Granny tells Momo and Okarun that she and her allies won't let them escape. The location-bound spirit returns and is behind the zombie spirit army. Momo asks Okarun to go full throttle one more time. Turbo Granny warns Okarun. She says Okarun will become immobile if he goes full throttle one more time. Momo hops on Okarun's back and he goes full throttle. While the two flee from the spirits, Momo uses her psychic powers to latch onto objects. Momo and Okarun land near a railway. She realizes she let go of Turbo Granny. Turbo Granny attacks the two. The location-bound spirit and zombie spirits arrive. Turbo Granny isn't happy that Momo and Okarun cheated during their tag game. Momo acknowledges Turbo Granny's skills, and Turbo Granny merges with the location-bound spirit. Turbo Granny tells Momo she'll let Momo and Okarun flee from her before she devours them. Momo says it'll only take her 1 second to run. She grabs Okarun and uses her powers to land on a train. Turbo Granny lands on the train. Momo tells Turbo Granny she wanted Turbo Granny to do that. The train is heading for Kamigo City. Seiko's standing at the edge of a specific track. She put more talismans on one of the railway's gates. Meanwhile, Momo uses her psychic powers to hold Turbo Granny back. The three pass the talisman's location, and Turbo Granny disappears. Later, Okarun, Seiko, and Momo visit a specific area by the tunnel. Seiko tells Momo this is where many girls perished. She argues they didn't become evil spirits out of choice. Moreover, Seiko says she and other spirit mediums hunted Turbo Granny down for a long time. She argues Turbo Granny loved appearing in places where female spirits died irrationally. Seiko predicts Turbo Granny liked consoling these spirits because they couldn't rest peacefully. Seiko, Momo, and Okarun head to Momo and Seiko's home to eat crab. After that, Okarun and Momo chat outside. The episode ends with Momo telling Okarun she'll see him tomorrow. Episode 5 of Dandadan begins with Okarun heading to school. Okarun's unsure how to approach Momo. He spots Momo near the school gate and walks past her. Momo walks toward Okarun and asks him to head inside the school with her. Okarun and Momo chat at school briefly. Then, Momo and Okarun enter different classrooms. Some people pick on Okarun, but he ignores them and heads to his desk. Okarun reads history books and says he doesn't mind everyone's behavior. He's okay with it since he knows he has a friend he can speak to. Meanwhile, Momo's friends try to get her attention. Momo doesn't budge. The girls predict something happened between Momo and her ex-boyfriend again. Momo complains and says she wants to discuss aliens with Okarun. Meanwhile, Okarun draws and wants to discuss ghosts with Momo. After class ends for them, Momo visits Okarun's class. Momo asks Okarun's classmates where he's at. Okarun's classmates tell Momo to visit the cafeteria. Okarun visits Momo's classroom and asks her classmates where she is. The students there don't know. Okarun speculates she's at the cafeteria. At the same time, Momo thinks the students are lying and heads to the school store. Momo and Okarun don't find each other at either location. They decide to look in similar yet different areas but don't reunite there. Okarun and Momo ponder at separate benches. Then, the two get up. They're both lost in thought and bump into each other. The two argue, and Momo's friends see everything. Momo's friends think Momo and Okarun kissed each other. Momo and Okarun argue in front of Momo's friends. They don't want Momo's friends to think they're dating. However, this plan doesn't work. Okarun departs to the boys' restroom and realizes something is wrong when he unzips his pants. Meanwhile, Momo's friends tease Momo about her connection with Okarun. Okarun arrives at Momo's classroom and wants to talk to her. Momo tells Okarun to leave her alone. Okarun tells Momo he wants to talk to her badly. Momo's classmates cheer Okarun on. Momo tells her classmates to pipe down. She tells Okarun she doesn't want to chat with him. Okarun walks down the hallway. He thinks about what happened between him and Momo. Okarun bumps into Aira. He apologizes and the two chat. Momo goes for a walk in the hallway. She spots Okarun and Aira chatting. Aira and her friend walk with each other. Momo eavesdrops on Aira's conversation with her friend. She's not happy that Aira and her friend are talking about Okarun in a bad light. Momo uses her powers to hit Aira with a wash tub. Aira falls to the ground and Okarun wonders what happened. Momo grabs Okarun and suggests she and him head home together. As Momo and Okarun walk home together, Momo apologizes to Okarun. Okarun says it's fine and tells Momo that his balls are gone. Momo and Okarun head to Momo's home and chat with Seiko. Seiko scolds Okarun for not letting her inspect him. She asks Momo to fetch her a doll, washing bin, and water. Seiko says something is inside Okarun. Momo returns with the tools. She places a talisman on a cat doll. Momo places his feet inside a pail of water, and Seiko slaps him with a fan. Momo notices something strange regarding Okarun's aura. Seiko tells Momo to pull out the aura once she hits Okarun with the fan again. Seiko hits Okarun and Momo pulls the aura out. Momo tells Seiko she lost the aura. The aura heads inside the doll, bringing it to life. The doll flees and Seiko tells Momo and Okarun to capture it. Momo closes her eyes to find the doll's aura. Once Momo finds it, she uses her powers to grab it. Once Momo grabs it, she heads to her closet, opens it, and spots the doll inside. The doll tells Momo to let it go. Seiko and Okarun arrive. Seiko tells Momo that the doll is Turbo Granny. Turbo Granny explains how she survived. Momo reminds Turbo Granny that they have an advantage over her now. Turbo Granny tells Momo and the others that if they defeat her, Okarun's balls won't return to normal. Turbo Granny orders Okarun to get a knife and kill Momo and Seiko. Okarun transforms. Momo and Turbo Granny wonder why Okarun still has Turbo Granny's powers. Seiko explains why. She says Turbo Granny tried too hard to escape Okarun's body. Seiko says Turbo Granny's powers remain inside Okarun, not her consciousness. Seiko says she's the only one who can return one's consciousness to its original body. Seiko and Turbo Granny argue with each other. Okarun returns to normal. He tells Momo that his emotions possibly triggered his transformation. Momo understands and confronts Turbo Granny. Momo knows Turbo Granny isn't all that bad since Turbo Granny was kind to the girls who perished near her tunnel. Momo tells Turbo Granny she'll return her powers once Okarun gets his balls. Turbo Granny understands. The episode ends with Turbo Granny telling Momo and Okarun that she lost Okarun's balls. Episode 6 of Dandadan begins with Turbo Granny chatting with Okarun and Momo about Okarun's gold balls. Momo's worried they won't find Okarun's gold balls. Turbo Granny speculates that someone has one of the balls. She says it's possible a yokai or spirit stole them since they're filled with a powerful life force. Turbo Granny refuses to help Momo and Okarun further. Okarun and Momo attack Turbo Granny. Then, our trio returns to Momo's home to seek Seiko's guidance. Seiko tells Momo and Okarun she'll ask her friends for intel. Meanwhile, Seiko reminds Okarun that he has Turbo Granny's powers. Okarun attends school the next morning. A male classmate confronts Okarun and asks him to introduce him to Momo. The boy tells Okarun that someone shared a rumor around school that Momo will sleep with any guy. Okarun grabs the boy and demands he tell him who shared the rumor about Momo. Okarun heads to his seat and looks through one of his magazines. Then, Okarun checks his backpack and notices Turbo Granny's inside it. Okarun heads to the hallway to chat with Turbo Granny. Turbo Granny tells Okarun that Seiko said she can roam free since she's powerless. She tries coercing Okarun to let her inside his body so she can get her powers back. Okarun refuses. He wants his balls back first. Momo arrives but doesn't spot Turbo Granny. Okarun tries telling Momo that Turbo Granny is here, but he's mesmerized by Momo's beauty. Okarun starts running and Momo chases him. Turbo Granny departs. Momo meets with her female friends. She doesn't know why Okarun is avoiding her. Momo's friend tells Momo that Okarun got into a fight because someone spread a rumor about Momo. Then we cut away to Ira. Ira walks through the school's hallway. She reflects on how people react to her and how she perceives them. At the same time, Ira wasn't happy about what Momo did to her. Ira says she spread rumors about Momo. She argues Momo is a demon. Ira says she saw Momo's demon wings. Ira pulls out one of Okarun's gold balls. She says this ball confirms she was chosen to purge her world of demons. In a flashback, we learn Ira was walking near the railway. This was set when Momo and Okarun seemingly defeated Turbo Granny on the train. The gold ball bounced off the train and landed near Ira. Ira notices the train pass her by. Then, Ira's friends greet her in the present. They give Ira a book and a cross. Ira's friends are skeptical about Ira's activities, but Ira strongly believes she was chosen to save the world. Ira notices a person in a red dress out the window. Her friends don't see anything. Some boys arrive and Ira acts normal. Ira signals to her friends to keep her plans a secret. Turbo Granny observes Ira and her group briefly before departing. Meanwhile, Turbo Granny, Okarun, and Momo chat on the school's rooftop. Okarun and Turbo Granny tell Momo she was looking for the gold balls and saw a strange woman. Turbo Granny tells Momo and Okarun that if someone picks up the gold balls, it could awaken their spiritual powers. She says these people have the potential to see spirits too. Turbo Granny promises to introduce Momo and Okarun to the woman after school. Eventually, Ira confronts Momo and Okarun. Ira wants Momo to chat with her alone somewhere. Momo accepts Ira's offer. She and Ira head to an abandoned warehouse. Ira's friends slam Momo from the ground and tie her up. Ira hops on Momo's back and holds her cross toward Momo's face. Momo uses her powers to grab Ira's friends. She tosses Ira's friends somewhere. Ira pulls out the gold ball. Momo tells Ira to give her the ball. She tells Ira that it belongs to Okarun. Okarun arrives and runs toward Momo and Ira. He tells Momo that the strange woman is after Ira. The strange woman arrives and grabs Ira. We enter a flashback. In it, we see a young Ira waving to her mother. The strange woman tells Ira that she's her mother. Okarun transforms and fights the strange woman. The strange woman grabs and devours Okarun. Then, the strange woman tells Ira she is her mother, even though Ira doesn't know who she is. The strange woman tells Ira that Ira used to call the strange woman her mother. Momo confronts the strange woman, and Ira wants to know if Momo knows who this woman is. Turbo Granny exits the rubble and looks through Momo's friend's phone. She tells Momo that the strange woman is named Acrobatic Silky. Ira calls Silky a monster and Silky devours Ira. Momo asks Turbo Granny to help her out, but Turbo Granny refuses. Silky attacks Momo with her long hair. She promises to let everyone go if Momo calls her mother. Momo refuses. Silky devours Momo. Turbo Granny confronts Silky. Turbo Granny tells Silky she devoured something specific when she ate Momo. Flames engulf Silky's body. Turbo Granny tells Silky that when Silky devoured Ira had a cross in her hand. She says the cross was a lighter. Turbo Granny tells Silky Momo used Ira's cross to light Silky's hair on fire. Silky spits out Ira, Okarun, and Momo from her body. The episode ends with Momo and Okarun planning to fight Silky. That's it for episodes 4 to 6 of Dandadan. The action is only getting more intense, and there's so much more to uncover. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell to stay updated for the next part. See you in the next video.